Once more I rejoin the living, it would seem. Rather than continue on that way and see what is in the ruins that the demi-humans are occupying, I think I shall return to the other path. After all, there was a girl there, and that particular person seemed to... Oh. Dear, oh dear. Well, it's a good thing we have the road to be traveled by grace with. This is a cut-off route. We can't quite make it otherwise. Although I'm sure there would be another path. There is, after all, a road that we can see on this map, despite the fact that we don't actually have any such map yet. So let's return to the Bridge of Sacrifice. Here we are actually told what the name of this place is. After the rain, I suppose. The Weeping Peninsula has received its moniker. But let us not ourselves release a deluge of tears. After all, aside from the corpses lining the ground, we haven't seen something too terrible as we've made our way through. We had a great deal of trial and difficulty in that earth-bore cave which allowed us to examine ourselves, but it was not something we could not overcome. Regardless, there is a woman who is waiting for us. So, first of all, let us consider her appearance. Blonde, wearing a blindfold and a salmon dress, stained with the exertions of travel and possibly blood. Salmon embodies health and vitality, but the fact that it's tarnished implies sickliness, or harm perhaps to do with her eyes, which seem to be, let us say, impaired. Reminds me of my own circumstances, though I happen to have one working eye, and a rift shield to see the world in different textures with as well. I wonder how long she's been afflicted and suffering so. Oh, and also, I guess, she appears to be wearing gloves of a fine leather sort. Black leather, further implying that she is a person of wealth and status. If the dress and the scattered bodies of the guards that she brought with her weren't enough indication. Actually, before we proceed, let's take a better look at those guards. As I thought, there's a significant difference in their colors. One is significantly more faded or orange, and the other has a red accompanying the gold and green. This suggests a significant factional difference, so I'm glad that I saw that banner earlier, which alerted me to the difference as I was looking at this particular guard. Based on this banner, it would appear that the orange is the more, well, shall we say, native color scheme, which implies some sort of conflict. In particular, Godfrey coming down and sending his men to fight with the ones that were stationed here, perhaps from an earlier lord at Stormvale. We don't know 100% whether or not it is the case that Godric made his own heraldic arms. It's entirely possible that he's inheriting the throne from someone else who chose a different sort of coloration for their coat of arms, despite the same particular symbols in the form of the lion and the tree being embraced. And it occurs to me, this bridge here, this bridge which we find that banner on, is called the Bridge of Sacrifice. And that feels quite significant, considering these men here. There's been a bit of bloodshed here already, which makes it feel like she is ominously close considering the name. It makes me think we'd best hope that her guards were the ones wearing the colors of the bridgemen, considering otherwise she's in a position where they could come and kill her at any time. That said, when we consider the bridge is being guarded by people that are looking outward, trying to ward off intruders from the land, we have to wonder, why isn't there at least one guard still by her, if they are supposed to be those who are protecting this land natively? Or alternatively, if they are Godric's soldiers and simply mean to occupy the bridge in order to control access, why is it the case that they left her alive? After all, they went through the effort of killing her men. At the very least, I could imagine it being the case they ought to take her hostage, keep her there at the bridge, maybe make some use of her. That seems like the soldierly thing to do. And yet she's been left here, sitting all alone in the rain with corpses festering on either side. A very curious situation. Perhaps, actually, the name of the bridge tells us a story. And if so, they're waiting for the right moment to sacrifice her. Or at the very least, they know that she is to be a sacrifice, and are waiting for the one to carry out that sacrifice to arrive. It almost makes me want to kill her myself rather than talking with her. But that might actually make the conditions of this mad scheme fulfilled, rather than cutting away the possibility of whatever ritualistic nonsense they have in mind coming to fruition. Rather than sitting here and being paralyzed by indecision, I think it's most prudent to simply go over here and talk with the woman, to see what she has to say. Perhaps that will make it easier to come to a decision either way.
Hello? Is somebody there? Might I bend your ear for a moment, please? My name is Irina. I've escaped from Castle Morne, to the south. The servants there have rebelled. I can't be sure what it is. My eyesight's been weak since birth, you see. But I swear I heard frightful howling from all over. My good father secreted me out the castle, but decided himself to stay. He says it's his duty. As commander.
Well, it would seem we can immediately confirm that she is visually impaired as expected with those opening lines. And we have thus also learned that the young lady's name is Irina. From this fact, we also learn 3 important things. 1, the name that she has been given means peace. And given that she has fled rather than fighting, we find that secondly, her name suits her. Lastly, because of where she is, we learn that peace is being sacrificed. To what, and for the sake of what? This name and this framing makes me feel like what is going on here is somehow of greater symbolic importance, as if this moment bears greater weight than some local tale. As if it speaks to what is going on across the entire lands between. So it is that we ought to pay very close attention here. After all, if we wish to understand this chaos-ravaged world, and the path it took to reach its current state, as we must, if we have any hope to fix things once we don the crown of Elden Lord, it requires a keen sort of understanding and attention to detail. Places like this speak to the wider whole, I think. Irina's story seems like it must be an important one. Now let us consider what she said otherwise, She comes from Castle Morne, to the south of the Bridge of Sacrifice, in this always raining land we call the Weeping Peninsula. Servants, she says, more likely to be enslaved people, I suspect, have rebelled. She claims to have been a first-hand witness to this, despite her physical impairment, which she seems to claim was congenital. Regardless, she was sent to find safety, at least ostensibly, by her father. And in the midst of this chaos, she heard howling. Howling. We shall have to keep an ear open for this. After all, it may well represent a major clue, and finding the source of the howling will likely, at minimum, offer great insight into the matter. And with it, perhaps, the state of the world at large. Also, her father, whom she has some manner of affection for, is responsible for putting her in a position to be sacrificed, whether wittingly or unwittingly, and is a man with some authority in the castle down to the south, either by being its master or at least the leader of its guards. Likely the former. Now, we shall have to keep our minds open, after all. Whether his intentions are, in fact, to protect her or to intentionally give her up to be sacrificed remains to be seen. This is something that we will have to seek out by looking into his character and the circumstances surrounding this mess. We cannot judge too hastily. It is not a simple matter to consider that a man would take his daughter and put her up on the slab for her blood to be shed and murder to be done to her. Such grim considerations. Very curious that we're brought to such thoughts immediately after meeting up with her. Regardless, I'm sure this isn't all that she has to say, so let us speak with her again and find out what else she has in mind.
I fear for Father's life. The servants are full wrath, filled with hatred for every one of us. They've since come for every one of the companions I escaped with. They haven't spared a soul. I fear it's no different at Castle Morne. Please, I implore you, would you mind taking a letter to my father? At the castle, my sole wish is that he escape, even if his honor should be the price. Please. I just want him to be safe.
Now, rather than immediately answer her, we must consider what she has said very carefully. Here, after all, she changes her story a bit, for earlier she emphasized that she didn't know what was happening. However, now, because she knows the servants have rebelled, she has jumped to conclusions about what happened to her. What she attributes to the violence of a slave revolt, we can clearly see is actually the result of two factions of soldiers clashing. This complicates things, obviously. There's more going on than meets the eye. Given her nature as an unreliable narrator of events, we should ask, who told her that there was a revolt? And is there actually such a thing in the first place? If there is, then for what reason is such a thing being embarked upon? And why does it coincide with this clash of soldiers? Could it be, for instance, that Morne was already under siege by enemy soldiers, and then the slaves decided that it was the best time that they had to actually strive to earn their freedom, rising up when the castle's defenders were already preoccupied and already under threat from the outside? Well, we shall have to look forward to finding out the answers to these questions and others we've yet to think of as we go forth and explore this corner of the lands between. That said, she has asked us to deliver a letter pleading with her father. If he is willingly sacrificing her, it will not cause him to move. However, even if he is, if the situation is dire enough, he might move and give us a false impression anyway. Likewise, if he's innocent but a stubborn fool, he might refuse to move regardless. Thus, when we reach him, we must be sure to use great discernment when judging his actions. Assuming he yet lives. After all, with the castle under siege from inside and without, at least possibly, situation's looking very grim. It may not be that he still has blood running through his veins in the first place. That this tale will end in us having to report back to her that he has perished. And we'll have to consider him having been sacrificed for her sake. But I don't think that's the story that's being told as of this moment. No. This is a much more sinister situation. Now, it is worth noting that even if his honor should be the price, does make him seem likely to be the stubborn fool's sort of person amongst the range of characters we projected that her father might be. Which will be very unfortunate for both of them, I'm sure, if that proves to be true. Anyway, though, we've left her waiting for an answer from us for long enough. So we shall accept.
Thank you. Dearly. Then please, take this.
It shall be our pleasure to ensure that it reaches him, Lady Irina. Though I hope you understand, it may take some time before I can reach his position and give him this. Please, resolutely await our return. I shall not fail to see him remove himself from his post, even if I must slay every enemy that has gathered in the castle to convince him that it is necessary. So wait. Survive the night, and look forward to meeting him yet again. Farewell.
Deliver it to my father, who remains in the castle, if you please.
That is my duty now, and I shall see it done. Onward, into a land of death, infested by corpses, of humans and beasts. Marked out by patches of blood and spirits flitting. Giants, apparently, as well. Starving dogs eat at the corpses, like ravens without wings. Men recline. More and more corpses. It seems it's been a bit of a massacre. And I think that carriage might have been what Irina was initially traveling in, before she found her way up the road. Which means these men are largely of her guard company, and there are some that yet live. But I believe those are not the soldiers that are her protectors. Let's investigate this further. And I'm sure that we'll be able to discern exactly who were her guards and allies, and who were not. So far, it would seem I was correct. The orange colors are the native ones. The indicator that these men came from the castle. And what do we have here? A much more vivid crimson. The same, I'm sure, will be true of this one. I think that's so. Let's get a better angle on it, though. Visual confirmation. He mourns the dead, the life that he had to take. But it's proving to be the case that he, the survivor, despite being paralyzed by guilt, is leaving a swath of blood and betrayal in front of him. And behind. For this must be the path that he traveled to reach this point. To engage in an ambush that left just a few men to run through here and protect Irina. These brave soldiers who thought that they would be capable of bringing her out, and yet would only find a bridge of sacrifice prepared for them. A bridge with more soldiers who now stand and wait for others to come, potentially to rescue Irina, waiting to penetrate them with great bolts and swords and hammers. Anyone who goes through is going to find quite the challenge and have warnings set out for them. This explains all that we have seen so far, except for the fact that she's left alive. It has a great intentionality to it. Her placement here, the fact that she can remain to give letters, the fact that there is some air of sacrifice going on. And I shall journey through the fields of death to find it once more. This mystery shall be cleared up. I will understand. And I shall make it right. We shall seek to save this girl, and if not, to at least know why it is that she is being sacrificed, so that we can mourn her properly if she is cut down. And we can tell her father what went on. Maybe run him through if he's the cause. But alas, this story shall not be fulfilled right yet. I must journey on into the land of slumber before I can trod the path of death further. Before I shall see my blade's hunger slaked. We must journey on into that realm which Trina surely is the patron of. The realm of sleep, of dreams and night. Until next we journey. This is the end.